Hey, Grammy U, what's good, y'all? Welcome to the 2025 Grammy U Fall Summit here in Nashville, Tennessee. I am super hyped to be here with y'all today with Rico and Tana.
Hi, guys.
All right, we're gonna be talking about a few different things, but the first thing we're gonna start off on is just exploring artistry, and they haven't seen the questions, so it's gonna be a good, real conversation just between genre-less badass bitches. Honestly, I don't know if I'm supposed to curse up here, but sorry if not. Um, so I guess, like in your own words, how would you describe the music that you're making? We'll start off with you, Rico.
Lethal.
Ow!
I feel like I'm just having fun.
Yeah.
I'm having fun. I'm still using my music as a diary. I feel like I'm being more patient. And I think overall, my music right now is just speaking to like my age and how much I've learned over the years. I feel like if you listen to my music like 5 years ago and you listen to the artist that I've become through like practice and obviously time and effort put in the studio, it's kind of just crazy. And I feel like young artists should use that as like a testament.
Absolutely. What about you, Tanner?
What was the question?
In your own words, how would you describe the music that you're making today?
Got it. Well, it's definitely a culmination of everything I've been making since I moved to Nashville. I moved here to do country music in 2021, but I've always kind of done my own, flip on country music. Right now, I'm really inspired by something that happened in my life about 2 years ago that I feel like I'm just not the same person that I was before that event happened. So right now I just got off my tour and I'm in the studio and just I'm kind of unhinged at this point, I think, and I'm trying to use it to my advantage and not letting it I'm a homebody, so I'm trying to not let it be something that I close myself in on, but really just just trying to be as much of myself as possible.
Absolutely. I feel like for me, the first time that I remember, like, just going into just breaking rules, the first time that I remember for me as a songwriter and singer breaking a rule was coming into the game and being like, man, oh, you have to be a pop person, or you have to be only a R&B person or a hip hop person or whatever. But I remember specifically even just doing like just mashing a bunch of genres together. Like that's what I feel like Thank You Next is, and a lot of other the songs that I've done. Can you remember like the first time that you were like, oh, this is getting a little bit different? These are all the things that they said, or even one of the things that they said was against the rules. Do you remember that for you, like that first moment where you're like, I'm fearless and I'm doing this?
Actually, yeah, it's so cliche, but cursing. Like I grew up obviously being told like, you shouldn't curse, don't curse too much, like don't just be cursing too much in your music, like don't curse for no reason. And granted, like my mom and dad were raised in a completely different time of music than I was. And I think that their in terms of success in music was radio play. So like you can't curse because they're not gonna play it on the radio. But I'm trying to be on SoundCloud. I don't give a about no radio. So, and then me seeing that worked is my biggest song is called Smack a Bitch. So it's
Let's
like
go.
I'm cursing in the hook.
Yeah.
There was no hindrance there. People related to it. So the minute you start like listen to everybody else's rules creatively, you're really gonna dim your light for real.
Absolutely, absolutely. What about you, Tanner?
Um, when I moved to Nashville, there were very few black women in country music, period. And I grew up, really loving country music. I always wanted to do country music. I feel like I'm a songwriter first. Like in my heart, that's really where I think that's my favorite thing in the whole world. And coming to Nashville, I think I kind of I shook up country music norms a little bit with the music that I was making. But yeah, as scary as that can be, I moved here without a dollar to my name. I sold everything that I had for a couple $100 to move into some, some low-income housing in Germantown, if you know where this is, since you guys are here, and just worked my ass off while so many people in Nashville were like, that's never gonna work, that's not gonna work. Oh, she's putting 808s in country music. That's only bro country, and only bro country can do that, and girls can't do that. And it was really, you had to put your blinders on. You get this too. I feel like you span so many, you love collecting genres and using different inspiration and what inspires you in your music, but you kind of have to put your blinders on and not listen to anything that anyone else is saying and just kind of say fuck it, or oh shit, oh oh, am I not allowed to say that?
I'm like, somebody, can you give me a thumbs
I'm
up or a
sorry.
thumbs
I'm
down
so
if we're supposed to be not
I'm
cussing
so
up in here?
Sorry.
If not, maybe I'll be the beep.
I'm
We
so
can do
sorry.
it. We can do it. We can be our real
I'm
selves.
so sorry.
it's cheeky.
Yo, I'm.
It's
oh
cheeky.
God.
We love it.
Anyway, you kind of just have to say screw it and just do it, and that's what I did. And it's paid off. So it always pays off. It always pays off. Being yourself always pays off.
You're absolutely right. Like when we think about like what you are now versus like a few years ago. For me, I was like, I don't really have like, black women doing like pop music, and that's different than like Beyonce. She's just a star. It doesn't matter what the genre is, but just black women doing pop music. Like we see the Flower of Loves now. We see Hemlock Springs. We see a lot of artists. What you're doing, like, and have done. How do you feel like you made that transition from thinking about? Yeah, obviously we know that you win when you do it, but there comes a turning point when you're like, you know what? I'ma just do me. How would you say that you're different now than you were before?
I feel like before I was just a lot more sensitive and a lot less proactive. Like, I didn't really want the constructive criticism. I felt like the art was my baby, and I didn't really understand, like, this is a business. And then I started really understanding the business when I started getting more into touring and just doing so many shows. I realized in experiencing other artists as well, people are coming for an experience. Doesn't matter if the experience is good or bad, you have to give them 110%. And for me, that is kind of what like sparked the growth of like, I started paying attention to what everyone else was doing. I started paying attention to what I'm doing. And it is a long road of like, I mean, what we just said, when you take your eye off the prize and you start paying attention to what somebody else is doing because you feel like, oh, I'm at that point in my career, like I should be there. That's when you lose everything because you don't tell anyone when you're supposed to be there. The universe calls you and it just happens. You can't like force it. And I think like when you're doing a lot of shows and you're performing to a bunch of crowds, you don't really know who is your fans until you get to go on tour. And then you really see the songs that people relate to and really like. And I think like if I would have just paid more close attention to what my fans liked sonically versus whether or not they liked what I was wearing, I think I would be in a completely different space.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, cause it's we're not in the day, like we're not in the era where it's like the radio man's gonna tell us all what we're gonna listen to. Like we're not, our fans aren't interested in that and being told what to do. Fans are interested in discovery, and I think a lot of times, like just on the songwriting side, and a label or a manager will come to me and they're like, they have all of this culture clout and boom, but we need a hit song. And I'm very careful to say, because sometimes they do, right? And you can have a hit song while still being genuine to you. We've seen Tyler the Creator do it. We've seen a lot, and we're seeing it happen a lot right now. I think even more so than even in the past 5 or 10 years. Like we're seeing the Chaperones artists that were dropped and the Charlie XCXs, really make a statement and say, no, I am the new mainstream. And so that was so just iconic what you're saying. It's like, look, I gotta pay attention to what the people are feeling because that will be the new mainstream. Because yeah, like you said, you ain't gonna make it, and not in a genuine way. And we've seen that kind of battle of being like, damn, my biggest song is something that I hate. You know, you don't want to be in that either. So that's
Takes time. It takes time, you know? It's something that you can't rush and like don't beat yourself up about it because when it does happen, the way that your life changes, you know, I think that that's something that people need to be like more cognizant of. It's a really big change. And I sometimes think that the time gets pushed back because people aren't ready for that type of change and that type of sacrifice and dedication and like every day you are your art.
absolutely.
Even when you're exhausted and you're tired, like that's what you have to do.
Yeah, absolutely, absolutely. How would you feel about that if you want to build on?
Yeah, kind of adding on to what you said, I think too, um, you know, something that I struggled with early on was letting people help me.
Mm.
There's, I think, an independence that comes with being an artist that you, I mean, nobody knows you better than you know you. But I wish, looking back on my 4 years here in Nashville, you know, I wish I would have let more people help me do whatever it was I was doing. And it's a lesson I'm still learning because you want to take all the control. And it's important to drive your train as an artist and be able to stand firm. I think no is my favorite word. You have to know when to say no, whether it's a sound or a lyric. And I'm kind of a people pleaser and I'm getting better at saying no. But you know, I do wish I would have let more people help me kind of along the way, especially people who believed in my vision. I think that's, yeah, I feel like looking back, I've always, you kind of said, like, what was the moment when, like, it just, like, popped out of the bottle that you were just gonna be you? I've looked like this since I was 2 years old. I was adopted and raised in a family that was very strictly religious, and you know my family didn't listen to a lot of music. They listened to the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, and I was putting on wigs in my room and dancing around in the little icing plastic heels that had little princesses on it, and so it's always been this since the moment I think I came out of the womb. And growing as an adult with social media, once again, blinders. You have to just put on your blinders because, like you said, you go on tour and you see the people who are actually singing your songs, and maybe you should care a little bit more about what they're thinking, sonically, and not what they care about your hair or your outfit or a tattoo that you got, or if you got some lip filler, like whatever, who cares? You know what I mean? Do you, once again, it all comes back honestly to just being yourself.
Absolutely. And I think when you're confident in who you are, you allow for the people around you that believe in your vision to help you fulfill it. Because there's a captain of the boat, right? But then there's 50 other people who make sure when the captain say we going here, how you going to get there? Exactly. Without the people that's also helping you. And I think that sometimes with like family, we have a kind of unhealthy kind of relationship with artist to fan now. Like there's so much access to the point where they try to make you feel like you got to do everything. And I can't even imagine as on the rapping side of things. Tell me a little bit how that feels because I don't agree with it.
That's where the boundaries come in.
Yeah.
That's where the clear-cut boundaries come in. It's like social media used to be a place where you promote your music and you promote the things that you like. Now it's like literally a job. Like people, they think you're supposed to post every day or else you're not getting money. They think you're supposed to post every day or else you fell off. You're supposed to post every day and be on live every day or else, oh, I ain't heard from them in years. Yeah, because they live in life like dead ass. And it'd be weird because like they completely forget that like my entire life isn't meant to be like a reel or a pose. Like, and I think now more than anything, the more mysterious like approach obviously is dated, but I think it's turned into more selective. Like if I want to post something, I want to post something that I think is cool. I don't want to post something just because I feel the pressures of everybody else watching me. Like, oh, I gotta post something because they gonna think that I didn't, because I'm not really that. Like that's insane.
I mean, that's how it gets.
That's how it gets.
That's how it gets.
Absolutely.
That's how it gets. And then you wonder why artists are like What?
Bye.
She ain't been on Instagram in 6
Bye.
months. Yeah, because every time I felt like I had to post, whether it's me, the label, your team, they're like, did you see what so-and-so posted?
Exactly.
It's time to get sexy, girl. You don't be posting no twerking videos. It's just like your brain literally starts like, what can I do to go viral? And that's when the artistry is sacrificed. And that's when you just end up with a bunch of shit posts and you're like, oh yeah, they popping, but what's the story
But what does
here?
it stand for? It's less about being mysterious and more about being authentic. And in this day and age, it's the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
Because, yes, social media is the place to be judged, for better and for worse. And so that's a really, really interesting thing because a lot of the things that you guys have been saying about the blinders, like, I know we're making it sound easy to have these blinders on, but it's probably the hardest thing that you will ever do in your life. The hardest part of your career because then also, then you have a hit song, right? And then you're like, oh, I felt what it feels like to have a fucking hit song. I got to do this again.
Addiction.
Again.
Yes.
It's
Addiction.
addicting.
Addiction.
And I think that a lot of times people forget, like, the more people that love you, the more people hate you.
Yes. Yes.
It's a double-edged sword every single time. And so being clear about what you are, whether it's being a boundary breaking, genre breaking, any of those things, I totally agree that the blinders through all of that is the hardest, moments.
Can I say something about that too? Because I've been talking about this a lot lately. I think you just the spectrum. There's no in between. If you really want to accomplish your goals, there's going to be a lot of people who hate what you're doing. Those people were never going to be your fan anyway.
Come on.
The people that love you and express that, whether it's through social media or at a meet and greet, those are the people that matter. I don't care about anyone who's hating on me at all because you're never going to be my fan anyway. You're never going to buy a ticket.
Exactly.
Like, so why do I care?
Exactly.
You're not my target audience.
Speak to the people
Seriously.
that you love and love you back.
If you're for everybody, you're for nobody. I think we all
Yeah,
know
yeah.
that. And even more so, now it's, for lack of a better word, niching down is the best thing that you can do. And because it's about finding your people. And that's something I think that you guys both have done very, very well. And it's super inspiring for that next generation as well. Not that you're not the current generation, but you know what I mean? There's so many people. I remember like getting on YouTube and learning how to use Logic and all these other things. And I used to watch Ryan Leslie. And like that was back in the day where like producers would never tell you what sounds they were using. They would never show
now
you
their
the
packs are all over. You
now
can
it's like, let
buy
me get a
it.
little splice
Yeah,
bag.
you
know
can
what I'm
use
saying?
it.
This is my day in the life of, this is my thing that I do. Like, we've all seen Professor Puth, on the TikTok. And I think that that's really, really important. But yeah, man. So you guys touched a little bit on collaboration and how you're collaborating and how that's changed over the time. How do you feel like, you evolve? Like, obviously, you're with the times, right? But how do you evolve while keeping the sound? I always say, like, it's not changing, it's evolving. And I think that that's a real hard line to walk. How do you feel like you walk it?
I mean, I feel like for something to evolve, it's not done like overnight. So it takes time. It definitely takes time. But I just feel like anybody from 19 to 29 is probably going to change or be more cognizant of the change than ever before in their entire life. I mean, this is literally the most, they say it's your teenage years. This is the most formative years of your life. You're deciding who you want to marry. You're deciding whether you want to have kids. You're deciding your job. You're finishing college. You're paying bills. You're buying shit for the first time. You're taking care of yourself for the first time. Like, who you are at 19 and who you end up being at 28 is like, bro, they're light years apart. So being a musician is kind of insane because like they're chasing the 19-year-old you. Like the 19-year-old is like a fiction of their imagination, this Cairo frozen character that's like in their brain, like they're fucking Walt Disney. They're like, this person is what we, and you realize like 10 years have passed, guys. We're not in high school anymore. I'm not 19 anymore.
And the fans are growing as well. Your
And the
fans aren't 19
and
either.
that's why we were saying you have to pay attention to your fans. Don't worry about nothing else, because your fans are the ones that were there at 15, that were there at 18, and now they're there at 21 having their first drink, bumping you. You have to give them music for the soundtrack to their lives.
Absolutely.
Because although they crave that 19-year-old energy, if you rap the same as now as when you were 19, you're probably not gonna have a long career.
Which is super interesting because if we really look at it, so like I love a statistic because sometimes you can truly get wrapped up in what's happening because of social media, right? But then you realize like our biggest stars are in their mid 30s, you know, like, and I'm just mean statistically, who are the statistically biggest artists, like selling the most records? Just like, you know, they're in their mid 30s right now, and it hasn't stopped them from being, you know, Billboard Hot 100, any of those other things. And I think that's also a thing of like, what is success to you? I always like to ask this when I work with anybody because not everybody wants to sell out Staples Center. You know, not everybody wants to be, you know, #1 on Billboard Hot 100. Not everybody wants that, and it's not the only type of success to have either. Like, in my mind, like when I choose who I'm gonna collaborate with, it's always like, okay, is this person a pop star or are they an artist? Every now and then it crosses like both things, but a lot of the times I feel like pop stars are willing to do things that artists are not willing to do, and artists are willing to do things that, and artists are like, this is my art, 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 art. I'm not worried about merch, and I'm not worried about hit songs, and I'm not worried about, because that's a different type of thing. Both of them make our world go round. None of them is, you know, more or greater than, but I do feel like the idea of success and how you choose to like collaborate with that. Like, what is like your idea of success, and how do you feel like working with different people now has allowed you to get closer to that, or even open up your world to, well, yeah, you could be freaking Hamza, you know, or you can be all of these other types of success, you know? How has collaboration really opened up your world to that?
You have to collaborate with people who want to collaborate with you. Because again, we're talking about like, this is a business. You get paid for features all the time. There's features coming in all the time, people offering to pay. And all of the features that have ever went crazy were people wanting to do a song with me and wanting to be a part of like my world. So when I think of like features or collaborations, like I think my biggest thing is just making sure that they like me. Is that weird?
No, I was gonna kind of say the same thing because nowadays, I think back in the day, it was so easy for labels to go, oh, put these people and these people together because then we'll, you know, hit the radio with it. It'll be great, whatever. You can kind of copy and paste. But nowadays, collaborations come from the artists themselves. When you meet someone that you just kind of click with, you vibe with, it turns into a relationship. Like, and it truly is. This job is an experience that not many people understand, and so when you do find other artists that you click with, it's special, and it makes you naturally, as an artist, you both naturally are like sending each other stuff. I mean, I met an artist the other day. It was like the next day she was sending me like, oh, we should do this, or we should. I was like, I'm so glad you're on the same page. I think people get scared of asking. Like, open your mouth. Closed mouths get fed. If you with an artist, DM them. Sorry, I said the F word again.
We good. We got our
It's my
thumbs up. We
favorite.
can be saying whatever.
Whatever. If you really, you know, like an artist, reach out to them. Tell them that you appreciate their music. Tell them that you like, you know, the way that they've lived their life or their career or whatever it is that you like about them. But yeah, the best collaborations come from people who like you and that you like. You can't be forced to collaborate with someone. It just doesn't work like that.
The fans can also feel it. And I don't
So
know,
true.
am I
So
crazy or
true.
what? It's like there's features that I've done with people, and it's like when I perform them, they don't go off the way that like the ones that, you know, we both wanted this mutually. We both love each other, care about each other. We're like, this shit hard.
Yeah.
It just reacts differently as well to the fans. It's kind of They're kind of weird how they be knowing it. They
Yes.
know
Also,
everything.
an example, because I love both of these women, Meg and Glow. That's the most isn't that the most natural friendship, collaboration? It just feels good.
Cuban links.
Yeah, yeah. Like it's just it's natural and you feel it, and that's real. It's hard to fake. Artists don't like faking stuff, and poker face is, I don't know if that's really in my vocabulary. But yeah, the fans can feel it. And also, once again, listening to your fans, who are they saying, oh, she was with this person? Oh man, I never thought that I would see that crossover. And you go, oh, okay, well that's something maybe we should explore. And it's just trial and error. But yeah, do collaborations with people that you like and like you.
Yeah, and then the tough side of that, which I want to ask, because I'm sure there's been times where you're like, I want to fucking work with this artist, and that would be crazy, and maybe they don't know you exist yet, or maybe they don't, like, it's, I remember, SZA talking about that, like, man, I'm tired of asking, when you're in your album phase, right, and you're thinking about your fan, you're like, they ain't turned around the feature yet, they said they was gonna have it in, and now we at the end of the album thing, like, how do you bounce back from that with the people that you respect, and maybe they just don't know how dope you are yet. But the idea of, has there been times where you're like, man, I really want to collaborate with this person, but maybe they just don't know how dope you are yet?
All the time. I literally, I don't know why I think of myself like this, but I feel like in female rap, I'm like the alt cousin who's like in the room all day while everyone else is like downstairs dancing.
Yep. You
Like,
go
I'm,
home
like,
and they're like, that's the outfit,
drawing,
sweetie.
right? They're like, that's the outfit, sweetie. She got her black lipstick on. Thank you.
You'll stop traffic.
Thank you, mom. She just goes back upstairs. Hunter is blasting loud as She has like cat headphones. She's like,
Yes.
that's my vibe. So when the girls are like, oh, bitch, we see you. We love you. It definitely just makes me be like, oh my gosh. But when they don't do that, and it's just me on my little island, you know what I do? And I'm thinking about like my dream features. I think about like, how can I make this island the coolest fucking place ever? So that when they are accidentally, dropped off on this island, they can be like, oh, this bitch
I think I'll stay a while.
I think I'll stay. Look at this little island. She got creative little things. She really done thought this island through. Like, I like this place. Why didn't I know about this before? So as an artist, it's just like, man, I'm just hanging my shit on the wall until they get there.
Come on.
I'm doing what I need to do.
Fluff
I'm
my
focused on
pillows.
myself. I'm fluffing my
You got
pillows.
something to drink when you arrive.
They gonna come. They gonna come.
What about you, Tanner? I love
Period.
it.
Yes. I love the island analogy. That's fire. I love that. When I moved here in 2021, I feel like that is kind of what I had to do. I built my own, world, and my dream collaboration was Beyonce, and I wanted to build a world that I literally said when I moved out, I was like, she did, the Dixie Chicks thing. She hasn't dived into it, but I would love, it's one of the only things she hasn't really done, which means she might be doing it soon. So let me just plant my feet. And that worked. So I agree. Make yourself, first of all, authenticity, building your island to be what, do you play Animal Crossing? That's what I'm thinking of.
Exactly.
Yes.
So
yes.
make sure you're planting the fruit trees that are good for the things you want.
Thank you.
Make sure that your community is taking care of.
all the turnips that you can.
Yes, bro.
And then sell them to the turnip lady for 5 times as much as you bought them.
Really? And you have to
If you don't know
clean
Animal
the weeds
Crossing.
and stuff and make sure that your island looks presentable.
Yes.
Because when they come,
You
which
wanna
they
have a
always
hot
do,
island. Yes.
you want them to be like, wow. You want it to be like when you get your first place and your parents come over for the first time. That's how you want it to be. Like, yes.
They're like, this
I'm
is
alive.
nice.
Yes.
Nothing's burnt down. No bugs.
And I'm cool. It's cool over here. You got to make it, your own authentic island. I love that.
We got to switch codes
Do you
for
have?
sure.
I know. We got to do that. Do you have it with you? I take it with me everywhere.
I don't.
Oh my! You're on tour. Rico.
You're like, what you supposed to be doing when you get off
I
the stage?
literally only play with my son. My son,
that's
he
okay.
plays.
That's adorable.
He knows he's taking care of the island right now.
Period.
I'm at work.
Period.
I remember the last time I stopped taking care of the island. It was weeds everywhere. I was like, somebody
Yes,
else gotta
yes,
appoint. I gotta appoint the child.
Yes, the cockroaches running around your house. You got to stomp them out. Yeah.
No,
It's a whole thing. It's a whole
Come
thing.
on, let's give it. Stomp. Come on. You know,
But
thanks for
really
getting
though,
that
you
reference.
gotta make yourself
yes.
comfortable in your own little world.
You do.
So that when people come and want to join it, you aren't so happy-go-lucky about someone wanting to join your world that you forget what your world is about.
Exactly.
'Cause you get these features and it's like, they might be talking about something. You say, oh, I'm gonna talk about that too. No.
Nope.
Facts.
You just lost the fan base that you were
Yes.
looking for because
Yes,
now
'cause
they'll
you're
never
not being
find
yourself.
And if you can't be on your island alone, then you got to
T.
change something.
Yeah.
you. T. I felt like when I first, was coming in here and I was building my company, Tailor Made Inc., people would be like, you can't be doing this on the publisher side, but then also you can't be a creative and also be a businesswoman. And I was like, actually, I think some of my favorite businesswomen are creative. My lawyer, I love my lawyer, and it's because she's creative. She's creative at when I say I'm gonna build something that is worth $1 billion, she makes sure that my contracts now reflect that. Not when you actually make a few million and then you're like, shit, I don't get to keep none of it. Like you've got to think about what are the things what is the world that I'm building? I was just talking about that earlier, like on my Instagram story. So I love that you made that reference. I'm always be keeping my island in my mind now, because I feel like when I think about women that are in business but also creative, I think of Dolly Parton. I think of Rosetta Tharpe, the first woman to own her masters. And that was a lot, back in the day. But these women were only able to do that because they were building whatever their idea of success was. So, period. Now, let's go back to a little bit about, like, we've talked about a little bit of our idea of success and all those other things. How did you feel like you were building a team for it? Because probably like 7 years ago, I used to say the idea of management, the idea of a publishing, the idea of teams is changing. And you see like what Olivia Rodrigo just did, and she's like, I'm a big fan of, I'm gonna put you on payroll. We're gonna see about the percentage later. So I'm a big fan of that. Like, how do you feel like you shaping your team for what your thing is and for what your goals are has happened? Like, whether it's your lawyer or your CFO, or what does that look like for you, and how did you figure out what you needed to do it?
You have to speak up. Closed mouths don't get fed. You have to speak up and you have to say no, especially because you have to quickly realize no matter what age you are as an artist, this team around you, they work for you. I see a lot of young artists that think they work for their manager.
Child.
That was me.
That was me.
For sure, you don't
That
know
was me.
any better.
You gotta
When you
go
first
through it.
start out,
Why
you don't
am I
know.
asking you for
You
permission?
yes, exactly.
And why do I have a black truck tonight?
Yeah. You gotta.
I did not
go
call
through
this
it.
car.
that part?
Okay.
What?
And while we got
$120.
three more behind us, look,
That's so niche.
for real, exactly. Exactly. You like, did I do a Uber campaign that I don't know about? Where this is showing up for
to the studio for everybody.
Look.
I did not say to do that.
You're like, who's recouping this again?
Oh my
I
God.
got questions.
You genuinely start tweaking. You're like,
Yeah.
oh no, I gotta run it past them.
And then everyone calls you a diva.
Yes.
It's
Then
like,
they're like,
look,
why is she asking questions?
you gonna call
We
me a
brought
diva or you gonna call
25
me
people
broke?
here.
You should be happy. We literally ordered you a black truck.
And there's 25 people here
Oh
that
my
you've never
God.
met before.
Come on.
You don't like that?
You don't like 20 people you never met before at your show?
Rolling the fuck up. After 2.5 hours that you got to meet and say hi
Only
to.
2 of them asked for a picture, by the way.
And you got to get on the
so
bus
the
by
other
midnight
18 don't know you.
or it leaves without you.
No.
Sorry, this is all I feel like very
niche, but
very
touring,
niche.
y'all need to hear
But-
this.
touring, you will miss the bus. They will leave without you.
It's actually insane. Yeah, you feel like, oh, do I work for my manager? And then you really have to boss up and realize I am what everyone is building their shit around. And one thing about a team, oh God, my first team, oh, I thought I was gonna grow old with them. My second team, oh my gosh, I just thought, yeah, girl, I did that. My third team, I'm done. How did I get here? Who are y'all? Why is it all strangers in my green room? What do y'all do?
You gotta ask the questions because
My fourth team was literally me and my assistant, who I still to this day, she's SpongeBob. She runs the Krusty Krab.
let's go.
That's my bitch.
Come
I
on.
love her. But it took us being alone, no management, nothing, but still a whole career going on to really realize, okay, I see what I need now. And I don't need that. And I don't need that. What are the necessities? And once I found out what my necessities were, it felt like, oh my gosh, yes, it's not a job anymore. This doesn't feel like I'm reporting for duty. This doesn't feel like pulling teeth to go do stuff because I'm surrounded by people I handpicked, not friends of a friend of a friend because my manager was like, oh, I know this person that know how to do this. Like, these are people.
It can get real tricky real
web.
fast. And I like that
Yeah.
you mentioned that you gotta go through the teams. You gotta, sometimes
Fourth time the charm. Love my team.
Exactly. I'm like, sometimes people, do end up with other people. I remember working with Christina Aguilera, and she had worked with the same
That's
manager.
such a. I say that one more time.
I remember working with Christina Aguilera. We Nerf gun wars with her son and everything. But she was really saying, like, I've been so used to having the same kind of person be my thing, and I think I want to branch out. And I think I want to maybe switch it up a little bit. I think a lot of times people forget as you evolve, so does the need for your team, and all of those other things are always evolving. So staying in contact with who you are, how you're evolving, staying aware of yourself and your needs is super important. So I always love when people mention, you got to go through the different managers or the lawyers or the CFOs. Like, I had a lawyer who was like, he was the biggest of the biggest or whatever. And I still have a great lawyer, but he didn't believe that I would have something worth protecting 30, 40, 50, 60 years from now. And that is so, so, so important. And, you make those changes and you allow that to happen. So thank you, because they gotta hear this, and I think that whether the people in the audience are, whether you're artists, whether you're in the business management side, whatever, understanding the perspective of the artist is the thing that allows you to actually make these genuine, real connections and be either a better fan or a better business person for those artists and with those artists.
And I also feel like teams changing isn't like what we talked about, she's a diva, she's this. It's more so they change because like sometimes you get people on your team that realize, oh my gosh, I don't want to do this.
Yeah.
And that doesn't have anything to do with you and how you treated them, but it's just like they bit off more than they could chew, and they're realizing, I miss being home. Why am I with this person every day? Or they realize that they want to be the star of the movie.
Yeah.
And I've seen that happen a lot. I have a lot of like friends who like came on the road with me and worked with me, and then they wound up having their own careers because they were just like, I want to do that. And that's fine. So it doesn't necessarily mean the teams are changing and now you just have a line of people like, fuck that girl, she was horrible. We're not changing teams due to bad vibes. We're changing teams because it's like,
Your goals don't align.
your goals don't align. You're learning new things. You're getting older. And you're realizing, wow, I got this far purely because of my brain and because I was asking for things and taking time when I needed it. So your team is just like, they should be a reflection of that. They should be a reflection of the time that you took to like build yourself as well.
Also, your team members are not your therapist.
Okay.
I think sometimes you gotta have boundaries. I think that's something I've also learned in the last couple of years of being an artist is having good boundaries. And you can have your manager and you can be tight and you can tell them everything. I'm not really, getting at that to be like a brick wall, but get a therapist if you need one, because it can be hard to put your, I'm gonna say baggage, even though I hate that word, but putting that on someone else ever, I think, can really hurt a relationship. And I've definitely learned that.
Absolutely.
Well,
Come on.
what do you feel about artists who go through stuff and the manager watches?
In what way?
in the way where, you know, you have an artist and they might be going through like domestic violence type of issues, something hard,
Tough.
and your manager just doesn't. They just kind of turned a blind eye to it.
That's just a bad business, I think. Because at the end of the day, like we said, this is a business. I can clearly see you're a businesswoman. You're a businesswoman. I consider myself a businesswoman. Part of this industry is, you know, being business savvy or having someone with your absolute best interest around and business savvy. I kind of was, I watched a Taylor Swift like documentary. Her mom and dad are with her like all the time. And when she has something that she has to offload, she knows that she could, it's her parents. They're always going to give her the absolute best advice because when she doesn't know what to do, who has her best interest in mind?
Yeah.
Her mommy and her daddy.
Absolutely.
For real. So I think managers that don't step into situations that harms their artist, which is literally, I mean, I'm not calling us products or anything like that, but what we do is a business and you're not protecting your investment if you're not stepping in between your artist and harm. And that's so many different, you know, things. Should I
Yeah,
be a
it can be so
manager?
many different things, but yeah.
But yeah, I think you have to have a manager that is willing to protect their investment.
Yeah, and I think that's like the weirdest thing about being like young in the industry is like you quickly realize maybe this manager is not here to protect me. Maybe it's more like a milking situation. Maybe they're trying to see how much they can get out of this while they can. And I think it's just like also being a woman is just like frightening because it's like really male
I was
dominated.
thinking that.
And my first manager was my boyfriend. And then my second manager was a man. I know everybody.
It happens. It happens. Yeah.
Y'all want to do 1, 2, 3? 1, 2, 3. So you know what I mean.
And you're first.
So you
Like
take
you're a
that,
baby?
and so you're right because you take that baggage of like, oh, I don't want to speak up. I don't want to tell them that I don't like that because I don't want to seem ungrateful. Like I see that they did all that. I don't want to tell them that I don't like it.
This person is representing you.
You have to.
And management can make you look good or they can make you look terrible.
Yes.
And when you're scared to speak up for yourself, you will catch yourself on somebody's red carpet. Like who put me
Where
here?
am I?
Once
Crusty
again,
guy.
who am I? Where am I?
Who am I?
Where am I?
What is this?
Yeah, absolutely.
Who are you?
That's definitely key. And I like also, like me personally, I love that you mentioned like this is the music business. If you want to do music, people do that all the time and it's not their job. You can always have a little guest bedroom with some guitars and a little studio set up. But you can always do that. But once you decide to say I'm about to sell a product, whether the music is the product, the person doesn't have to be, but it is that. And I love when artists know it because sometimes when you don't get it, again, that's the difference between sometimes you can find a middle ground, which I feel like both of you guys are, both artists and pop star, like together. And I'm not saying pop in the genre. I'm saying pop star is in the word popular. Mainstream enough to be whatever it is. And nobody's asking you to be a lawyer. Nobody's asking you to be a CFO. Nobody's asking you to be those things, but you got to be aware so that when you are having these conversations and choosing your teams, aware of what to ask for, aware of, okay, do I need to be asking him about this? Because nobody will care about it as much as you do. And when you look back at your life, you want to have something to show for it. And if you're not asking those right questions, you looked around and you realize everybody else got theirs. And what am I left with? And you want to make sure that you're left with something that you're proud of, and that you're confident in, and that other people can look and say, oh, I'm going to do that, and I'm going to do it even better, or I'm going to do it this way. Because you are affecting every action that you do, and every action that everybody is here is doing. Somebody's watching you. Has a reaction. Come on, Miss Man. Look. So yeah, like this conversation is tea, ladies. Like
one last thing. I think sometimes a good lawyer can be better than a good manager.
I feel like find the
Get
good lawyer before the
yourself
good
a
manager
good
if that's what you need to do.
lawyer.
Because the managers, they're not going to be
Absolutely.
able to like.
They facilitate
They're
relationships.
supposed to do that.
Yes. Your lawyer is the one that's picking through that contract going,
They know.
hell no.
They know. They know. Your manager, they can find you the good connections. They can find you all of those other things. But if you don't got nobody
Also,
on your
don't
team.
go for the manager that looks like a rapper.
Oh no, because he too busy outside versus looking
Are
over
we
them
still
damn
talking about your
contacts.
boyfriend?
I love it. Okay, so do you think that genre is still a thing? Like for me, like I would be like, oh my God, especially as a black woman, like I would come into these rooms and they'd be like, you don't write pop. Like very given that. And now, having 4 diamond records, number ones on 7 different genres. I'm able to say and there was nobody like that. I was able to look at Esther Dean.
Say it one more
I was
time.
come
One more
on, we got a
time.
few diamonds. But I didn't have anybody to look. I had Esther Dean and I had Money Long, and those were people that I was like, oh, they've written like pop smashes, and nobody's just telling them, oh, you're the black kid and you're gonna write rap, and that's it, right? And now, now that is a new normal. I think that people look past it, and you still have times where people were like, well, thank you, next. That was the Blackiana era. That was not the, that wasn't real pop music. And sometimes, sorry, we getting a little bit too real. Okay, but they don't see sometimes a lot of those times as pop success because they see me show up into the room. Where do you think that the idea of genre is going over the next 5-10 years? Do you think that there's still a place for it? Of course, when you have your team upload your music to DSPs, or when you're with a label, they choose marketing teams based off of your genre, right? And there's been some times where I'm like, I have to talk to artists, and I'm like, oh no, you're a country artist, but they have the R&B marketing team pushing your music. Therefore, you will never get on the playlist that you're trying to do because they're pitching the wrong thing. Do you feel like outside of the fact that you have to choose a genre, and whether it's the Grammy thing or whether it's, the DSPs, do you think that there's a place for that?
I think if you artists from very young ages, I think you're inspired by so many other artists. I think your genre kind of chooses you. If you're choosing your genre, it's kind of like, I think you might not know fully what you're doing. I think your genre should choose you. I'm here in Nashville, and genre is very, very, very real in Nashville. The country music genre is, they're trying to keep it as whatever, untainted and whatever. But, it's, and who knows if that will ever change. It doesn't have to. They can do whatever they want. But the attention to genres is, I have fatigue. Stop talking about genres. People come from all different backgrounds and write all different kinds of music and have all different kinds of stories. However they choose to express it sonically with themselves, if they're producing it, or a producer that they have a lot of trust with, that's just the genre choosing you at that point.
That's so true. And you mentioned on something that's really good. Since moving here from LA, I'm like, look, y'all can't take 808s for country and say we can't take acoustic guitar.
That part.
You can't do that. There was definitely Nelly back in the day over and over. There was definitely a time we had this moment where the genres were crossing back in the early 2000s. You can't evolve your own genre, right, to make it more exciting, because I do think it's extremely important for every genre to evolve, or else it kind of fades out into the darkness. So even R&B, hip hop, country, all that all of these different versions are just a reiteration of all music comes from one or two genres. All music comes from someplace in the gospel world, no matter what. It all starts in one genre, and just kind of each influence or wherever turns it into eventually rock and roll, which eventually turns it into A, B, C, whatever, bluegrass, eventually evolves into, so that is a huge, huge thing. I'm like, no, little Nashville. Now, you can't say that you're going to take the things that make hip hop music cool, or pop musical. We have a lot of pop influences in country. I'm like, and you can't sing a pop song with a country accent and say that it's country music now. So it's such a touchy touchy subject. But how do you feel like with a kind of an alternative hip hop, pop? Like, how do you feel like it's changing for you?
I hate the word alternative. I feel like alternative means like the other option, which is like we are not talking about mashed potatoes and mac and cheese. Like I'm not the fucking alternative side dish.
Yeah.
I don't know what that's about. I do like being called alt when they're talking about black fashion. I think it's cool because I think it's shining a light on a very small community that deserves a light. But when they say it in music, I'm like, I mean, man, an alt artist that I'm a huge fan of is Gene Dawson.
Okay, great.
Right? Gene Dawson is
Tea.
amazing. Do I make music like Gene Dawson?
No.
So why the are we calling me alt?
Yeah.
Why do they do that?
Yeah.
I don't get it.
I think they're
so
just
I don't
saying
get
it's
the genre
different.
thing.
Yeah, it's just
If
different
this
because there's
is-
alternative R&B, right? Like there's like traditional R&B. I think they're just trying to find any type of way to make it make sense.
They're
or
trying
just
to-
or just discredit your R&B, or discredit for me your country.
Yeah,
oh, it's
because-
country this, or it's R&B, it's alt R&B.
Yeah, because if I make a rock song, it's not a rock song. They call it an alt song.
Yeah.
That's such a, we at the Grammy, museum, we over here at the African American, like, we got to talk about that. I think it's super important because we have basically 3 different fonts of black women up here.
Really? We got the pop, the country, the rock.
You know what I'm saying? You got 3 different fonts of
And we've all been called alternative multiple
Yeah,
times.
what? Yeah.
But we all have our niche thing that we enjoy, that we're good at
Exactly.
in our respective genres. But it's like, but you don't really full-time make that genre because you do other stuff. So technically you're alt. But like, no.
You're triggering me right now.
I know.
Exactly.
I know.
Exactly.
Because it's confusing and they don't do that to other people.
They don't do that to other people.
You know what I want to talk about?
Talk.
Come on, spill it.
Go on.
I want to talk about how black artists are suffering with mixtapes. I want to talk about how these labels are signing young black artists and telling them, make a mixtape. They're getting 10 mixtapes out of these kids.
And you're
A
still in a
mixtape
deal.
is not an album.
And you're still in a deal
You're
because it
still in a
doesn't
deal.
count towards
It's
your
an
deal.
EP.
They signed you for a 6-album deal. You've done 10 mixtapes.
Come on.
Do they do that to pop artists?
No.
Do they do that to rock artists? Do any other genre other than hip hop have mixtapes?
I have one.
Come on.
I actually had the first country mixtape.
But
And
you
you
doing
a
something
T for
different
that.
though.
And you're a T for that.
Period.
And you're a T for that.
Period. Yes.
Like
no,
amazing.
But I do. I actually, that's really interesting, and I 100% agree with
And
you.
that's probably why you did it for country.
100%.
Because you were like, why aren't they? And that's
Exactly.
probably why though. Because
Exactly.
these young artists, they don't get paid for doing mixtapes. They don't get paid for doing
Yes,
these
yes.
like things for the culture
Yeah,
that are
exactly.
culturally impactful, but they don't count. How does this not count? How do you have more projects than all of your peers and they don't count?
Look, there's a reason why. Like
yeah.
when we think about where did R&B come from? Where did that thing come from? It was a moment to say, this is not that, but it's this. And it really is rooted in saying, if Elvis does this version of the song, it's this genre. But if the original artist that he is covering does the songs, it is not this. And also, by the way, we own the master of this new master recording, and you will not see any dime of it. You're touching on something that is so real that is important to continue to talk about because, I have a big thing for like when you're doing publishing splits as a writer, I have to get people on this because, I explained to my team, my business and my splits are not according to what state I wrote the song in. Now, if you go and you do a song in Atlanta, you might have 10 people on the track, right? And one person did a hi-hat, right? And I'm not taking away from this. I'm not taking away from it. But if you try to come to Nashville and you do that, right, you're not getting, like, producer credit. It's not happening. However, what might happen in Nashville is they'll take everything that you've done and reproduce it and say, now you're a songwriter. And now all of my production thing, which I personally have a problem with, I understand it, but you have to remember, like now you see a lot of artists have 50 songwriters, but that wasn't like that. When you look at the credits for I Will Always Love You, David Foster took production credit because that's what he did. He didn't songwrite. So that wasn't something that started until the early 2000s, when you actually did have people, producers, who were also writing, like a Max Martin or a Timbaland or whatever. But that was very rare. And all of a sudden now, every producer gets writing credit, and there's a technicality to that. If I put on the business hat, if you did melody, you're technically a songwriter, right? But that doesn't mean that you're a producer, and the producers get paid up front. The songwriters, the song has to actually sell in order for you to get paid. You're showing up every day for free, and hopefully, that bitch fucking promotes the song. You know what I'm saying? Hopefully. But when it comes to, like, I see this often with, when I look at my BMI statements and I see the difference of what pop music makes or country music makes or like all of these other things, putting 50 million people on it affects black people in that type of way. When you think about who does hip hop music, who does R&B for the most part, right? And if you see, if everybody's doing a Swedish pop, split, it's very, 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 very different. And I don't always agree with it. Always has to be a Swedish pop star, because I just think, dude, get paid for what you actually did. That's now, if you work with somebody and it's like a consistent thing or whatever, nobody needs to be nitpicking over, I wrote this line and you wrote this line and boom. But you got to be consistent and fair with business, because if you take advantage of people, when you get to pull the button of being, when you get to play the black card and when you get to do the other thing, it hurts everybody.
It's interesting, your perspective on this, and everything that you're saying I agree with, and I think it honestly comes down to, it's your responsibility as an artist to be fair.
Exactly. We see too many times of, well, my lawyer said this or my manager said this.
Or the label.
What do you say? Just tell me if you don't respect me.
For real. Just tell
me.
me that you didn't.
Tell me that you don't. Tell me that you don't value me, so that it's easier for me not to show up here and work for free for you. You know. And so that is extremely important. And when you're looking for these, when you're looking at the genres and how the music is done differently based off of the genre, I can't help but to notice that, black people and women are the ones that hurt the most.
You know what's crazy? I also noticed that in the hip hop space, nobody, you know what I'm gonna say. You guys don't exist. A writer? Please. That's an attack on my artistic integrity. A writer? I would never use a writer. But me and her have worked multiple times.
Yes.
Like, you do need help. You do experience life. You sometimes won't know what's the hottest beat to pick or the hottest sound. And sometimes you do need someone to help you. Sometimes you do cut a reference track that was entirely made from someone like her. And you cut it, you add your ad-libs, and now it's your song. And that, I think, when we talk about in terms of people not getting credit, I feel like that is the most harmful thing. Like, people aren't saying that you can't rap or that you're not good because you need a writer. It's just felt like, back in the days when people would make music and people would have cyphers and people would have rap battles and people make music in general, it's not just an artist in there by themselves. It would be an artist with a ton of their friends. Sometimes you get, friends. Sometimes you get to a point in your career where writers are your homies. They've been through certain parts of your life and they know how to get you to talk about it. That's what we used to therapy, accidental therapists. So sometimes they're able to say the shit better than you can. You going through it. You can't say it the way you want to because you're not even experiencing it the way that you want to. You're going through something, and music is still expected of you. So that is one thing I do. I want all my young artists, my young hip hop artists. It is okay to get a hook from somebody.
You're not directing your own videos and also color correcting it and also mixing and mastering it and also the tour manager and also people, I don't think that they realize.
You're spreading yourself
You're
thin.
asking them to do something that somebody writes 200 songs a year. Imagine the consistency versus somebody who, like, we have one album to make, and it doesn't mean that you don't write all year. But
But you have spurts.
That's a lot to ask.
I mean, no, dead ass. There's spurts where I will, like right now, I'm on tour. When I get off tour, do you think I'm gonna want to go to the studio? Do you think this stuff is gonna have processed that fast? It just doesn't work like that. I might need 2 months before I'm like, okay, let me go into the studio. And when you get in the studio, it's just like hearing a video of yourself. You're like, I sound like that. It takes time to get back into, like your swag and what you sound like and your tone and the energy. It's I feel bad. I feel bad for writers that have to like constantly fight to be valued, because I think you guys make the sessions so much fun. You're way better than an A&R. I hate an A&R in the
Look,
corner.
we're trying to find the middle
I hate
ground.
that.
We know what you want, and we know also what the label feels like you need. And not every songwriter is like this. Not every songwriter is like, look, I understand that this is your vision, and I'm gonna make sure that I'm uplifting whatever that is now, because every time we probably get together, you will be a different version of yourself. And it's important for me to ask those questions and say, like, how are you? Who are you loving right now? Who do you hate right now? Who's pissing you off right now? Because maybe you didn't even think to ask yourself that question. Or maybe everybody around you is so busy wanting something from you that they never asked.
Maybe you're too scared to answer the question. Maybe you're too scared. You don't want to piss nobody off. You don't want to say how you really feel, because now you're talking about your parents. You're talking about some shit you ain't supposed to be really talking about.
I'm going to big you up. I'm going to be like,
Let's make that song.
Speak on that. Those are my favorite songs. Like, that literally is why my brain is like, tailor made, because this song is this song because it would have never been anything without your input and without our input. And that is the art of collaboration, you know? But stop making artists feel like they gotta write everything, because you're not gonna ask them to direct the video and do the choreography and mix and master and boom. Like, you respect those other things. We gotta respect the lyrics. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Something you said made me just think about something that someone told me this week that I really loved. And since you're on tour right now, I just got off my tour. I've been chilling for almost 2 months off my tour. Like, I need to like decompress and take the time to get inspired, right? Someone told me motivation comes from an outside source. When you're on tour, you're motivated. You're motivated to get up every day, get to the gym, do your voice exercises, show up on time, go to your meet and greet, because there are a bunch of other people that are expecting it of you. That's motivation. Inspiration comes from inside you, and that comes from living your life for you. So I just kind of like, that's for you. That's for you, Rico. A little. I just felt, you said that, and I was like, oh, that really, it kind of made me think like, oh, yeah, I've been letting a lot of things motivate me, but not much has been inspiring me. And so it's kind of changed, the last month or so of just trying to be more inspired instead of being motivated.
That is so real, because you deal with procrastination, so you pray to be motivated, and then you're motivated, and now you're trying to figure out, well, what do I do when all of this is done?
You just gave me chills.
That's
Pray
crazy.
to be
Something about this
inspired.
convo is
Pray
healing
to be
something
inspired.
in me.
Pray
Come
to be
on.
inspired.
Yes.
Wow, ladies, I'm loving this conversation. I can't wait to even have some more little tea, behind the scenes over there, because I have a feeling it's gonna be not the first time or the last time, that me and you are meeting, but we back together after some time. But I was so looking forward to this because of the fact that you guys are just bosses and just defying gravity. No, I'm just playing. Defying boundaries. I'm just playing. Don't hide me for that, because I'm playing too much. I'm playing too much. Let me write it down. I'm playing too much. Okay, but so before we get into the Q&A, I just want to ask you guys, like, what are some of the advice that you guys have? We've gone through so much about being yourself, all of these other things, and you just mentioned something great about inspiration. Like, anybody who don't feel like they belong to one genre, what would your like advice be for them right now in your life? This answer might change 5 years or 10 years or 30 years from now, but right now, what is it?
Push. Push. You're gonna hit a lot of walls, bro. It's gonna feel exactly how you think it's gonna feel. It's gonna feel alienating. You're gonna feel crazy. Push. Push. When you don't feel like doing something today, Think about how your future self is going to thank you for doing that shit and putting in 110% effort. Push.
That's the hardest thing it is to do. I always say you're gonna win if you keep going because
Just push.
that's the hardest thing to do in
Is
this
to keep
industry.
going. I guess another thing I would say is to love yourself.
Mm.
Especially if
Another
you're a
hard.
woman wanting to be in this industry, love yourself. Because the minute that you tell somebody, "Ah, my nose look a little weird," they'll have a doctor for you.
Yes.
My lips are a little. They'll have filler right there. They'll have any Sculptra or anything to make you better.
Yeah, and
And
do
if
you,
you don't,
if that's what you want to do,
that's what you wanna
do.
do.
But make sure it's what you want to do.
Exactly. Don't do it because you think this is gonna make you look cooler. It's gonna make people like you more. It's gonna make you more likable. It's gonna make you more relatable. This is what people do now, especially when they get money. Like, love yourself, bro. Because you can be the most beautiful person in the world. Perfect body, perfect everything. They are gonna call you ugly. They want you to hate yourself. They literally do. So you gotta come out the gate with the self-love, like
Delusional. Be
delusional.
delusional.
Dead ass. Be delusional. Be delusional as because if you don't love yourself, like I said, that lip filler, all of that, everybody in the industry knows exactly where it is and they will kindly make an appointment for you. And that's sad. And I think it kind of makes you even more depressed. Like, wait, so you think something wrong with me too? Like, it's,
Like I just asked you if it was if there was something you would change about me, but now you had something to say.
what is going on? Love yourself.
This is always such a hard question. I feel like, and this is something that someone very close to me always said, two things. The only thing in life that is consistent is change. And you can always change your mind. You don't have to do what anyone tells you to do. If you don't feel comfortable, you don't have to do it. If you don't like it, you don't have to do it. Don't let people pressure you into doing things that you don't want to do. You can change your mind at any time. That's all that I got to say about that.
Ladies, this has been such an amazing convo, and you guys have also been so awesome out there, being so supportive and listening to sometimes the very niche type of experiences that we have. But also, I just think that it's important to have these conversations. So that's what makes our world go around. That's what gives us, the connection to actually be able to appreciate the music that comes from these conversations. So thank you guys for being here. Shout out to the Grammys and Grammy U for having us and allowing us to share our stories.
Yay.
Boom, boom.